Welcome. In this session, we'll learn how to do convolution in Matlab. All right, so let's start. Let's suppose we have two sequences x of n. Let's suppose the sequence is 3, 11, 7. This is so this is our sequence. Let's suppose this is n equal to 0 point, and our sequence is another sequence 1. So this is our another sequence, and suppose this is equal to n equal to 0. Now you can see the x sequence. The duration of this x sequence is 3, and the duration of this h sequence minus 1 to 4. That you can check from this. All right. Now Matlab has an inbuilt function to perform convolution. These two sequences, you can say convolution between xn and h, and this will give you the convolution between these two sequences. Now, to illustrate, to see what will be the duration of this output convolution, means from wire to wire it will vary. Now remember, here it will vary from, suppose x sequence. If x sequence has duration from -1 m2, and h sequence has duration from -n1 m2, remember y sequence will have duration from -m1 plus n1 to all right. So to check it here, what I am saying, see the duration of the x sequence is from -3 to 3, means it's non-zero from -3 to 3, and h sequence is non-zero from -1 to 4. So the duration of our this sequence will be -3 minus 1 is 4 to 3 plus 4 is 7. So it will vary from -4 to 7. Let's check it from Matlab. So let me switch to Matlab. All right. So first let me write the x sequence. X sequence is, what are the values? 3, 11, 7, 0, -1, 4, and 2. So this is our first sequence. H sequence is 2, 3, 0, -5, 2, and 1. All right, so this is our second sequence. Now let's call the convolution between this x and h as y sequence, and this is the convolution between these two sequences. So this is how we obtain the convolution. Matlab has an inbuilt function to perform this convolution between two sequences. Simply type conv, and in the arguments type the name of the arrays or the sequences. So this is how we perform convolution Matlab. Now to illustrate this, to plot these also, let me switch to this editor window to obtain the plot these also, and to do it in a script file. Let me switch to editor window. So this is our editor window. So first let me write the sequence x. Suppose the values are the same. So this is our one sequence, and h sequence is the values 2, 3, 0, -5, 2, and 1. So this is our h sequence. Now let me also store the time information. So nx will store the time information, means the duration of this x sequence. And let's suppose it varies from -3 to 3. As we know, this varies from -3 to, and let's use another array to store the time information of this h sequence. And we know it varies from -1 to 4. All right, so now the output sequence is convolution between this x and h. So a type convolution between this and this. So this will give us the convolution between x and h. And let's plot let's do this subplot. So let me, now on this figure window, there will be 2 rows of these plots and 2 columns of these plots. And this is the first plot. Now for discrete plots, we use stem function and plot the x sequence. I say an x comma this, and let me use it. Let me change the coloring of this and also the line width. Let me set the line width myself here. So this is 3, and let's put the title there. So this is our x sequence or signal. So this is our x sequence, and let me copy this code. So this will be the now second plot. On the second plot, I want to plot the h sequence, and let's call it h sequence or signal. And on this, I want to plot the y sequence, and this will be our third plot. And this is our y sequence or output sequence. You can also say this is the y output sequence or signal. All right, so let me save this. So let's call it convolution between x and x. Let's call it CONVXH. So the name, so this is stored as a m file or simply .m file. Now if I run this, you can see the result. Let me also turn on the grid here to make it look fancier. Let me turn the grid on and also turn on the box. Now these are just used to make this plot look little fancier. There's no job of this, so you can say run. We run it, and let me show you the figure window. Where is my figure window? So this is the convolution window. So this is the x sequence. As you can see, it varies from -3 to 3, and here the values are given: 3, 11, 7, 0. This is -1, 4, and 2. Same way, the y sequence is values of y sequence are 2, 3, 0, -5, 2, and 1. So this is our h sequence, and this is the output sequence. And this h sequence varies from -1 to 4. Now have a look at the y sequence. Y sequence varies from 1. You can check it varies from 1 to 12. Now, but we said it will vary from -3, -1, which means -4 to 7 only. It won't vary from this to. Now, when you use the Matlab's inbuilt function, means convolution function here, it loses the time information. It does not store the time information. It does not tell you from wire to wire the output sequence will vary from, and it never keeps the track of the time duration of the input sequences. Now to retrieve the time duration of this y sequence, what we are going to do, we are going to go back to this window and to retrieve this. Now to retrieve the time duration of this, what we are going to do, we're going to say ny beginning, means the beginning point of this y sequence will be, we know the beginning means the beginning point of this. If you remember, it will be from -m1 to n1, and you know what's m1. m1 is simply the first point of this x sequence. So it is the first point of x sequence. This is the first point of h sequence. Now, how do I obtain that? How do I write this? Means the first point of these sequences. Now, you know Matlab indexing. If you remember the indexing in Matlab, to access this point here, what you have to say, see the time information is stored in NX array. So if you want to access this point, just type NX1, and to edit with this, you can say, and we know the time information of each sequence is stored in NH1. So this will be the starting point or the starting duration of this NY sequence, sorry, Y sequence. Same way to get the last point of this means to get this and this, and to add them, what you can say NY, E means and you can say NX. NX is the array which stores the time information. So it is NX. I hope you are see this. Yes, right. So NX, and what I'm going to do to get the end point means to get the last point, I will tell you in MATLAB what to do. NH, the last point of this NH, and this will store. Then we'll say NY will NY2, NY, and we'll this an array, and this array will store this information of this output sequence. All right, so let me switch to the MATLAB to illustrate this. So NYB will be NX1, NX1, you can say it will be -3 here, plus NH1. So this is the first point of this output sequence. Same way NY end will be NX, NX, this will be NX. And what I'm going to do to retrieve the last point, see, always I won't have the information that it varies from this to this. So to do it for any general sequence, what I'm going to do, I'm going to say length x. Length x will give you the length of this. Now the length of this is 7 here, so this will be 7. So nx, this will be nx7. Now nx7 means 3 here. All right, so to add this, then you will see nh length of H sequence. So what's the length of H sequence? You know it is 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it is 6 here. So it will be NH6. NH6, you know that is 4. All right. So this will store the endpoints. All right. So to get the time duration of this Y sequence, we'll say NYB to NY end. So this will store the time duration. Now you can use it in here. You can say this is NY, and now if you run this, so there is something wrong. And why have I written this script? NYB, NYE, NXH, and Y array must be same. X and Y is what's wrong? What's wrong with this? What I have done wrong here? This is Y. It's convolution between this and this. NYB name is correct. H. So this is NH length of this is correct. Where is and why is the output? What's NY? -3 to nh. Oh, sorry, this is not plus. This is not that. That's what I have done wrong. All right, now you can see the result. Now, so that's why I put colon here. So it should have been plus. Now you can see. Now you can see the result. So this is our x sequence from -3 to 3. This is our h sequence from -1 to 4. And here the y sequence varies from -3 to 7. 7 is not visible here. So you can check this is the correct. So now you have retrieved the time information also. Now let me write the same code using functions. Let me write the same code using functions. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to switch back to Matlab. And I'm going to write it as a function. So I'm going to write find function. I'm going to say this is the y sequence, and the second variable will be the time information. And let's call it my convolution. Let's call it my convolution. Let's call this function as, so first sequence is x, then second is nx. X is the x sequence, nx is the time information of this x sequence. Third variable is, these are just input variables. Remember, these are the input variables. So you can write x is input array signal, and x is the time duration or information of x sequence or signal. Same way you can say it. H is the input array, and h is the time duration of H sequence or H sequence. All right, so next what we are going to do, we're going to define y is the convolution between x comma h, and this will be the convolution. Then we are going to say nyb means the beginning of this will be simply nx1 plus nh1, and we'll say ny end means the end point of this y sequence will be nx length sequence. You can say nx sequence also here, plus h. Length means the what are the total number of points. This nh length of sequence. So then we'll say ny is nyb2 and ye. So this is the time information. Then you can use this plotting if you want to plot also the results. You can do this, don't need to, but if you want to store this information also, you can do that here. All right, so let me save this. You can see it saved as my convolution operation MATLAB. So this is saved as my convolution. Now I know x is already stored there. Sorry, h is also stored there. Then what we are going to do? We are going to say y, and y is my convolution between x comma nx comma h comma nh, and if I type this, you can see the results are displayed, and it varies. The convolution between the x and h sequence is this, and this is the time duration. You can check the time duration is in ny. Now, so this is how we write a function for this, and you can see the result also graphically. This is what MATLAB displayed for us. This is what MATLAB displayed for. So this is the convolution between the sequences. All right. So I hope this is visible. Right. So this is the convolution between the sequence. Now what I'm going to do, let's take few more examples. Let's take few more examples. What I'm going to do, I'm going to clear all. So every variable is, let's suppose this is 2, 1, 2. So this is our sequence. And let's suppose nx. Nx is the time duration of this is from -1 to 2, -1, 0, 1, 2, that will be 4. Okay, m is the duration of this, and let's suppose h has points 1, -2, 3, 1, 5, and -3. Sorry, this is the h sequence, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points, and let's suppose nh varies from -2 to 3. So there are 6 points. Now I'm going to pass this to this function. All right, so this will give us the result. So this is the convolution between x and y, and the duration is from -3 to 5. As you can see, nx varies from, let me see, you can see, and x varies from -1 to 2, and h varies from -3 to so, and y will vary from -3 to 5. You can see, and y varies from this to -3 to 5. This is how we get the duration of this. And to see the result, we execute it, and you can see the result by switching to figure window. So this is the convolution between these two sequences. Please try it using hand and see whether this is correct or not. This is correct. MATLAB is doing it correctly, but do it using the hand so that you may understand it better. All right. So let me stop here. So this is how we do convolution in MATLAB. Now I told you the inbuilt MATLAB function, that's the convolution operation, does not retrieve the time information. That's why we do these script and function files to retrieve the time information also and to see the results. All right, let me end it here.